The day Earth's illusion of solitude shattered began like any other at the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Nevada. The morning shift had just started their usual routines, with coffee cups steaming beside computer screens showing the endless dance of stars and space debris. Tom Baker, the lead signal analyst, was about to take his first sip of coffee when his monitor lit up with unusual readings. At first, he thought it was a glitch. The object was moving too fast, too deliberately for any known celestial body. His hands trembled as he put down his cup and began running verification protocols. "Sir," he called out to his supervisor, "you need to see this." Within hours, every major observatory and space tracking station on Earth had confirmed it. An artificial object, roughly the size of a small bus, had entered the solar system and was decelerating as it approached Earth's orbit. Its trajectory showed clear signs of intelligent control. The news spread through government channels like wildfire. In Washington, D.C., the newly formed Earth Defense Force headquarters buzzed with activity. Commander James Wilson stood before a wall of screens, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of trajectory projections and sensor data. "What do we know?" he asked the room of analysts and military officials. "The object is maintaining a controlled approach," reported Lisa Moore, his chief science officer. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen. The energy readings suggest technology far beyond our current capabilities." As if responding to their discussion, the probe suddenly came alive. It began broadcasting on multiple frequencies, a clear sign it wanted to be heard. The message was simple, repeating in mathematical sequences that took the world's best cryptographers less than 6 hours to decode. "Your system has been marked for colonization." 5 words. 5 words that changed everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. 5 words that confirmed their worst fears. They weren't alone, and their visitors weren't friendly. Commander Wilson immediately enacted Emergency Protocol Alpha. Within minutes, military bases worldwide went on high alert, while governments worked to prevent public panic. The probe's message continued broadcasting, now including detailed maps of Earth's major population centers and resource locations. "They've been watching us," Wilson muttered, studying the surprisingly accurate maps, "probably for centuries." In the following days, the world's military forces mobilized with unprecedented cooperation. Chinese submarines silently took up defensive positions in the Pacific. Russian air forces remained on constant patrol. American space monitoring systems were expanded to maximum capacity. The probe maintained its position just beyond lunar orbit, continuing its broadcast. Analysis of its transmission patterns revealed something even more disturbing. It was sending data back to somewhere deep in space, presumably to its makers. During an emergency United Nations session, Commander Wilson presented the findings. "This isn't a random encounter," he explained to the assembled world leaders. "The probe's data shows they've been studying us systematically. They know our weaknesses, our military capabilities, or at least what we've shown publicly." The room erupted in concerned murmurs. Wilson raised his hand for silence. "But they've made one critical mistake," he continued. "They think they know everything about us. They don't." As if to emphasize his point, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, ancient sensors began to stir. In underground bunkers that hadn't seen light for millennia, dormant systems silently powered up. Humanity had its own secrets, preserved and waiting for exactly this moment. The probe's presence had triggered something else, something old, something that had been waiting. In a hidden facility beneath the Antarctic ice, a message began repeating on long-dead screens. "Contingency protocol activated. Defense systems initializing." Commander Wilson stood at his command center window, watching the night sky. Somewhere up there, the probe continued its silent observation, unaware that it had awakened something that had been sleeping for a very long time. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Tell them to maintain normal operations. Let them think we're just a primitive civilization in panic." He turned to his staff, a grim smile on his face. "Let them come unprepared. Humanity has been ready for this longer than anyone knows." The first move had been made in a game humanity had been preparing for across countless generations. The aliens thought they were hunting prey, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating Earth. They weren't the first to make that mistake. They would, however, be the last. 50 years before the alien probe arrived, a discovery on Mars changed everything. Back then, Peter Ross had been just another mining engineer working on the first Mars base. That was until his drill broke through into something that shouldn't have existed. "Control, we've hit a structure," he had reported, his voice shaking. It's made of metal, and it has our writing on it." The bunker they found that day was just the beginning. Over the next month, they discovered 7 more, all built with technology far beyond anything humanity currently possessed. But the biggest shock wasn't that they found bunkers on Mars. It was who had built them. Now, 5 decades later, Commander Wilson walked through one of these bunkers, his footsteps echoing off walls built by ancient humans. The displays around him glowed with a soft blue light, showing star maps and weapon systems that seemed like magic. "Show me the activation logs again," he ordered. Dr. Robert Gray, the lead scientist, pulled up the files on a floating screen. "The oldest records date back 12,000 years, he explained. "Our ancestors, they weren't primitive at all. They were more advanced than we are now." The walls told a story through their databanks. Long ago, humanity had reached the stars. They had built ships, colonies, and weapons. But something had happened, something that made them hide it all away and start over. "Look at this," Dr. Gray pointed to another screen. They left everything in perfect working order. Ships, weapons, entire defense systems, all just waiting to be turned on again. They even left instruction manuals. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, massive factories were waking up. Similar facilities under the Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Oceans hummed to life. Each one was bigger than a small city, preserved perfectly by technology that hadn't been active for thousands of years. "They knew someone would come," Commander Wilson said, reading an ancient message displayed on the main screen. The words were simple but chilling. "For when they return." In orbit around Earth, hundreds of satellites that had been invisible for centuries suddenly appeared as their cloaking systems powered down. They weren't the primitive communication devices everyone thought were humanity's only orbital presence. These were weapon platforms, ready to defend Earth from any threat. "How many ships do we have?" Wilson asked, studying a tactical display. "Thousands," Dr. Gray answered. "Hidden in underground bases, under the oceans, even inside the moon. The ships we've been building for our space program, they're toys compared to what's been waiting here." The ancient bunkers had already started production. Assembly lines that hadn't moved in millennia now worked at full speed, creating weapons and equipment that looked like something from science fiction. Wilson picked up what looked like a simple rifle. "What's this?" "That," Dr. Gray said with a slight smile, "is a handheld particle beam weapon. It can cut through any known material. We found millions of them in storage, along with the instructions on how to make more." But the biggest surprise lay in the computer systems. Earth's modern military satellites had detected the alien probe right away. But these ancient systems showed much more. They revealed an entire fleet gathering at the edge of the solar system. "They're coming in force," Wilson noted, watching the tactical display. "They expect to find a helpless planet." "Should we reveal our capabilities?" Dr. Gray asked. Wilson shook his head. "Not yet. Let them come closer. Our ancestors left us everything we need. Weapons, ships, and most importantly, a plan." In the depths of the Martian bunker, Wilson stood before a massive screen showing Earth's complete defense network. Scattered across the solar system were weapons platforms, hidden bases, and automated defense systems, all built by ancient humans who knew this day would come. "Send the activation codes to all facilities," he ordered, "but keep everything in stealth mode. When these aliens arrive, they'll expect to find primitives with simple rockets and basic weapons. He smiled grimly as he watched more and more systems coming online across the solar system. Instead, they're going to find out why our ancestors left us so well armed. Humanity isn't just ready for them. We've been waiting for thousands of years. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the aliens to spring it. For the first time in history, every nation on Earth worked together in perfect silence. Deep beneath the streets of major cities, ancient machinery hummed to life. In hidden mountain bases, soldiers trained on weapons their great-grandfathers had left behind. The world prepared for war while pretending everything was normal. Commander Wilson stood in the Global Command Center, watching as another detection grid came online. Next to him, Dr. Mary Wells adjusted the holographic display, showing thousands of defense satellites that had just dropped their cloaking fields. "That's the fourth grid today," she said, marking off another section on her tablet. "The coverage is almost complete now." The room around them buzzed with activity as military personnel from every nation worked side by side. Russian generals studied ancient weapon manuals with American admirals. Chinese technicians helped British engineers activate orbital platforms. Old enemies became allies in the face of a greater threat. "Status report," Wilson called out to the room. "Sir, the moon base is fully operational," reported a young officer. "The automated factories are producing ships faster than we can crew them." Another officer spoke up from his station. "Mars' defense grid is green across the board. The ancient missiles are armed and ready." Dr. Wells pointed to a blinking light on her screen. "We've got movement. First wave of alien scouts entering the Kuiper Belt." Wilson nodded, his face serious. "Right on schedule. Are our stealth systems holding?" "Perfect," Dr. Wells confirmed. To their scanners, Earth still looks like a primitive planet with basic satellites and a few small space stations. In orbit, the real story was very different. Thousands of weapon platforms circled the Earth, hidden behind technology that made them invisible to even the most advanced alien scanners. Inside the moon, massive hangar doors prepared to open, revealing ships that would make humanity's public space program look like children's toys. "Message from the Jupiter station," an officer called out. "They're picking up more scout ships than we expected. At least 30 of them." Wilson smiled. "Good. More ships means more overconfidence on their part." Deep under the Pacific Ocean, the ancient factories worked at full speed. Robots built new weapons and ships using plans that had waited thousands of years to be used again. Similar facilities under every major ocean did the same, preparing Earth's real defense force. "Sir," Dr. Wells said suddenly, "the scouts are spreading out. They're moving faster than we predicted." The command center's main screen showed red dots representing alien ships moving through the solar system. They moved with confidence, clearly not expecting any resistance. "Look at their formation," Wilson pointed out. "They think they're being sneaky, but they're actually following exactly the path our ancestors predicted they would use." A junior officer rushed up with a tablet. "Commander, we're detecting energy signatures from the scout ships. They're scanning the outer planets." "Let them look," Wilson said. "All they'll find are the decoys we want them to see." In fact, Earth's real forces were hidden in plain sight. Ships waited inside gas giant storms, masked by the natural interference. Weapon platforms orbited disguised as chunks of rock. Every piece of advanced technology was either completely hidden or made to look primitive. Dr. Wells checked another reading. "The first scout ship will reach Mars orbit in 6 hours." "Perfect timing," Wilson said. "Are the automated defenses ready?" "Yes, sir. The moment they try to land, they'll find out this isn't the helpless planet they expected." Around the world, military forces maintain normal patterns while secretly preparing for battle. Pilots trained in simulator pods, learning to fly ships that most of humanity didn't know existed. Ground forces practiced with weapons that could stop an alien army in its tracks. Wilson looked at the massive screen showing Earth's real defense network. Layers upon layers of protection surrounded the planet, all hidden from alien eyes. The trap was almost ready to spring. "Send the final alert to all commands," he ordered. "No one moves until my signal. Let them think they've caught us sleeping." Dr. Wells nodded, sending the message through secure channels that had existed since ancient times. "It's amazing," she said quietly. "All this time, we thought we were alone, learning everything for the first time. But our ancestors left us everything we needed." "They did more than that," Wilson replied. "They left us a warning and a way to win. Now it's our turn to prove we were worth their trust." The alien scouts drew closer, unaware they were flying into the biggest trap in human history. The first alien landing attempt came at dawn, Australian time. 3 scout ships descended through the atmosphere, heading for what they thought was an empty stretch of desert. Their sensors showed no human presence for hundreds of miles. They were wrong. In the Global Command Center, Commander Wilson watched through hidden cameras as the ships touched down. "Time to show them their first surprise," he said quietly. The aliens emerged from their ships, tall, armored figures moving with the confidence of superior beings. They began setting up equipment, probably for a base camp. None of them noticed the slight shimmer in the air around them. "Activate containment field," Wilson ordered. Suddenly, a blue energy barrier sprang up around the landing site. The aliens froze, clearly surprised. Before they could react, panels opened in the desert floor, revealing weapon systems that had waited thousands of years for this moment. "Target their engines first," Wilson commanded. "Don't let them send any warnings." Particle beams sliced through the alien ship's hulls like paper. The advanced materials that made up their spacecraft offered no more resistance than tin foil against humanity's ancient weapons. Within seconds, all 3 ships were disabled. The aliens tried to fight back. They fired weapons that would have easily destroyed any modern human military force. But their energy beams splashed harmlessly against the containment field. "Second landing detected," reported Dr. Wells from her station. "Northern Canada this time. 2 ships." Wilson nodded. "Same protocol. Let them land, then disable their ships." Across the globe, the scene repeated itself. Alien scout ships landed in what they thought were safe, isolated locations, only to find themselves trapped and outgunned by automated defense systems their scanners couldn't detect. In orbit, more drama unfolded. A larger alien ship tried to rescue one of the trapped scouting parties. As it entered Earth's atmosphere, it encountered what looked like a simple weather satellite. "They're approaching Grid Point 7, an officer announced. "Weapon satellite is ready." Wilson watched as the alien ship passed the satellite. A single pulse of energy shot out, and the alien vessel suddenly stopped dead in space, all its systems disabled. 60% of their scout force has been neutralized," Dr. Wells reported. "No casualties on either side, just as planned." Wilson smiled. Their ancestors had been very clear about this part. Show strength, but avoid killing if possible. This wasn't about revenge. It was about sending a message. "Sir," called out a communications officer, "their command ship is broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding to know what's happening." "Good," Wilson said. "Time for Phase 2. Prepare the broadcast." On every frequency the aliens might be monitoring, Earth sent its response. The message was simple. "This is your only warning. The Sol system is protected. Leave now." To emphasize the point, hidden bases on the Moon and Mars revealed themselves. Massive weapon platforms emerged from crater shadows. Defense satellites dropped their cloaking fields for just a moment, showing the aliens they were surrounded. "Their remaining scouts are pulling back," Dr. Wells announced. "All surviving ships are retreating to their fleet's position." The alien command ship sent another message, this one sounding much less confident. They demanded to know how Earth had acquired such advanced technology. Wilson's response was brief. "We didn't acquire it. We built it. A long time ago." In the command center, screens showed the alien scouts racing back to their main fleet. Their once orderly formation was now scattered. Their confident approach turned into a panicked retreat. "Launch the first defense fleet," Wilson ordered. Let them see what real human ships look like. From hidden bases around Earth, sleek vessels rose into space. Unlike the clumsy rockets humanity had been using publicly, these ships moved with impossible grace, powered by engines that defied known physics. Message from the alien fleet, the communications officer reported. They're asking for time to discuss terms. Wilson shook his head. No terms, just leave. They have 6 hours before we consider them hostile. Dr. Wells studied the readings from the retreating alien ships. They're scared, she said. They expected primitives with simple weapons. Instead, they found technology that makes theirs look obsolete. That was the plan, Wilson replied. Our ancestors knew they would come eventually. Everything they built, everything they left us, was for this moment. The first battle was over. Earth had revealed just a fraction of its true power, and the aliens were already running scared. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the main fleet arrived. The trap had been sprung. Now the real war could begin. The main alien fleet arrived 3 days after their scouts retreated. It was massive. Over 200 ships, led by a vessel so large it could have housed a small city. They emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, their weapons charged and ready. In the Earth Command Center, Dr. Wells studied the incoming data. They'd brought enough firepower to conquer 10 planets, she said. Good, Commander Wilson replied. Let them think they still have the advantage. The alien fleet's high commander broadcast his message across the solar system. Their translation computers decoded it instantly. Your resistance is noted. Your technology is impressive, but outdated. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly. Dr. Wells worked quickly at her station, analyzing the alien communications. Her eyes widened as she decoded more of their transmissions. Sir, she called out, you need to see this. They'd done this before, conquered other worlds, but they've never encountered resistance like ours. They're actually worried. Wilson nodded. Show me their fleet formation. The main screen displayed the alien armada. They moved in a tight battle group, expecting an attack from the front. They didn't realize they were already surrounded. Activate the orbital defense grid, Wilson ordered. Around Earth, thousands of hidden satellites revealed themselves. But these weren't just weapon platforms. They were nodes in a vast energy network that could redirect power anywhere in the solar system. The alien high commander's next message showed the first signs of uncertainty. Impossible. Our scans showed no such defense capability. That's not all they missed, Wilson said. Power up the lunar batteries. On the moon's surface, massive doors opened in crater walls. Artillery batteries larger than aircraft carriers emerged, their ancient weapons aimed at the alien fleet. Similar installations appeared on Mars, their targeting systems locking onto the invaders. The alien fleet's formation wavered. Their scanners were finally showing the true extent of Earth's defenses, and it was far more than they had prepared for. Sir, called out the communications officer, we're picking up transmissions between their ships. They're arguing. Dr. Wells translated more of the alien chatter. Some of them want to retreat. They're saying this is different from their other conquests. The High Commander is trying to maintain control. Wilson smiled grimly. Time to show them who really controls this system. Activate the gas giant stations. Deep within Jupiter's atmosphere, huge structures became visible. Research stations, defense platforms, and shipyards that had been hidden for millennia revealed themselves. Similar installations appeared in Saturn's rings and among Neptune's clouds. The alien fleet's formation broke completely. Several smaller ships began to turn away. They're scanning our installations, Dr. Wells reported. Their computers are trying to match the technology. No results found. Sir, they've never seen anything like our weapons before. The High Commander's next message was clearly frustrated. Your technology. Where did you get it? No primitive race could advance this quickly. Wilson's response was calm but firm. We didn't advance quickly. We were always here, always watching, always preparing. To prove his point, he ordered the activation of Earth's final surprise. A massive energy field sprang up around the entire solar system, a barrier that could trap the alien fleet inside if necessary. Message from their fleet, the communications officer announced. The High Commander, he's requesting a direct communication. On the main screen, the alien leader appeared. Its appearance was almost insect-like, with multiple eyes and armored skin. When it spoke, its voice carried both anger and fear. "This is impossible," it said. "We've conquered dozens of systems. Our technology is superior to all known races." "Not all races," Wilson replied. "Just the ones you've found so far." Dr. Wells monitored the alien fleet's movements. They're pulling their ships back, forming a defensive position. They finally realized they're not the hunters here. Wilson nodded. "Send them the final message." Across all frequencies, Earth broadcast its response. "You have 1 hour to leave this system. This is not a negotiation. We've waited thousands of years for someone like you to come. Don't make us show you why." The ancient defense systems hummed with power, ready to protect humanity just as they had been designed to do so long ago. The aliens had come expecting to find prey, but instead discovered they had wandered into the den of a far more dangerous predator. The real test of humanity's inheritance was about to begin. The aliens struck first. Their entire fleet opened fire at once, launching thousands of energy beams at Earth. For a moment, the space between the planets lit up like a new sun. In the command center, no one flinched. "Shields holding at 100%, Dr. Wells reported calmly. "They haven't even scratched the surface." Commander Wilson watched the alien weapons waste themselves against Earth's defenses. "Now they know our shields work. Time to show them our weapons do too." The first shot of humanity's counterattack came from Jupiter. A hidden base in the gas giant's atmosphere fired a single pulse of energy. The beam cut through 3 alien ships before they could even register the attack. "Strike Force Alpha, launch," Wilson ordered. From behind Saturn's rings, hundreds of Earth ships appeared. They had been hiding there for days, waiting for this moment. The ships moved with impossible speed, their ancient engines letting them change direction instantly. The alien fleet scattered, clearly shocked by the attack from behind. Their formation broke apart as Earth ships emerged from more hiding spots, behind asteroids, inside Mars' moons, and from the dark side of Mercury. "Their shields can't handle our weapons," Dr. Wells noted, watching the battle data. "Our ancestors built these guns to punch through anything." The alien High Commander tried to rally his forces, ordering them to form a defensive sphere. But Earth had planned for this too. "Activate the moon batteries," Wilson commanded. The massive guns built into the moon's craters opened fire. Each shot was precisely calculated, not to destroy, but to disable. Alien ships found their engines dead, their weapons useless. "Sir," called out an officer, "they're trying to call for reinforcements." Wilson nodded. "Just as expected. Activate the system barrier." The energy field around the solar system strengthened, blocking any signals from reaching alien space. The invaders were trapped with no way to call for help. In space, the battle continued. Earth ships moved like dancers between the alien vessels, their ancient weapons cutting through advanced shields like they weren't even there. The aliens fought back hard, but their best technology seemed primitive compared to what humanity had kept hidden. "Their main ship is making a run for the outer system," Dr. Wells reported. "Launch the Jupiter fleet," Wilson ordered. From within Jupiter's storms, another 100 ships appeared. These were humanity's heavy weapons, massive vessels that had waited in the gas giant's clouds for thousands of years. The alien High Commander tried one last desperate move. His flagship turned to face Earth, charging its main gun. "They're powering up some kind of super weapon," an officer warned. Wilson remained calm. "Activate the solar collectors." Arrays hidden inside Mercury's orbit suddenly lit up, catching the sun's energy and redirecting it. Before the alien ship could fire, a beam of pure solar power lanced out, cutting through its weapons array. "Direct hit," Dr. Wells announced. "Their main gun is disabled." The battle turned into a rout. Alien ships either surrendered or were disabled, their once mighty fleet reduced to drifting hulks. The few vessels that could still fly were retreating to the system's edge, only to find their escape cut off by Earth's energy barrier. "Signal from the High Commander," the communications officer reported. "They're surrendering." Wilson looked at the main screen, where the alien leader's face appeared. Gone was the arrogant confidence from before. Now there was only shock and fear. "How?" the alien commander asked. "No race we've ever encountered had technology like this. It's impossible." "Not impossible," Wilson replied. "We just waited longer than you, prepared better than you. While you were out conquering primitive worlds, we were building, planning, and getting ready." Dr. Wells checked her readings. 80% of their fleet is disabled. The rest are combat ineffective. No casualties on our side. Wilson nodded with satisfaction. Just as their ancestors had planned. Show overwhelming force, but avoid unnecessary killing. The message was more important than revenge. "Open a channel to their remaining ships," he ordered. "Tell them we're lowering the barrier. They have 1 hour to collect their damaged vessels and leave. And make sure they understand. If they ever return, we won't be this merciful again." The battle for Sol was over. Humanity had faced its first real test in thousands of years and proved worthy of their ancestors' trust. But as they watched the alien fleet limp away, everyone knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy now knew humanity's secret. The real question was, what would they do about it? The alien fleet retreated in silence, their mighty armada now just a scattered group of damaged ships limping away from Earth. Commander Wilson watched them go from the observation deck of humanity's first revealed orbital station. "They're passing Neptune's orbit now," Dr. Wells reported, standing beside him. "Long-range scanners show they're heading straight back to their territory. No signs of stopping." Wilson nodded. "Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, ancient communication arrays powered up. These weren't the simple radio telescopes humanity had been using publicly. These were devices capable of sending messages instantly across the galaxy. "Ready to broadcast," the communications officer announced. Wilson took a deep breath. This message would change everything. Send it. Across thousands of light years, on every frequency any advanced civilization might be monitoring, Earth transmitted its warning. To all spacefaring races, the Sol system is not a target. It is not an opportunity. It is not unclaimed territory. We are humanity. We have been here longer than you know, watching, waiting, and preparing. Today's battle was not a demonstration of our strength. It was a demonstration of our mercy. In the command center, screens lit up as responses began arriving from across the galaxy. Other civilizations, hidden and revealed, were receiving their message. "Sir," Dr. Wells called out, excitement in her voice. "The ancient arrays, they're picking up signals. Hundreds of them. Some are using communication protocols that match our oldest records." Wilson smiled. Another part of their ancestors' plan was falling into place. As they watched, more data poured in. The arrays were connecting to a vast network of hidden outposts and colonies, human colonies, scattered throughout the galaxy, places their ancestors had built and hidden, waiting for this exact moment. "Look at this," Dr. Wells said, pulling up a star map. Dots of light appeared, showing human presence far beyond Earth. We weren't just hiding on Earth. We were everywhere, watching, learning. A message arrived from a station hidden in the Orion Nebula, its codes matching perfectly with their ancient records. "Welcome back, Earth. We've been waiting." Wilson turned to address the command center crew. "Our ancestors didn't just leave us weapons and shields. They left us a legacy, an empire in hiding, waiting for the right moment to reemerge. More stations reported in. Hidden bases in other star systems, monitoring posts in distant nebulae, entire colonies masked from detection. Humanity hadn't just been defending Earth. They had been protecting a massive network of hidden civilization. "Send the activation codes," Wilson ordered. Across the galaxy, cloaking fields dropped. Stations revealed themselves. Hidden fleets emerged from gaseous nebulae and asteroid fields. The galaxy's maps were being rewritten as humanity's true presence became known. "Message incoming from the Galactic Council," an officer reported. On the main screen, representatives from various alien races appeared. Their expressions ranged from shock to fearful as they realized the truth. Humanity wasn't just one protected world. They were one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. "Why hide?" one council member asked. "Why pretend to be primitive?" Wilson's response was simple. "We chose peace. Our ancestors had the power to dominate the galaxy, but they chose to watch and protect instead. We revealed ourselves today not to show our power, but to prevent unnecessary conflict." Dr. Wells approached with a final report. "All hidden colonies and stations report ready. The network is fully activated." Wilson nodded and sent humanity's final message to the galaxy. "We were never prey. We were the predators who chose peace. Remember that. We won't start conflicts, but we will end them. The galaxy doesn't need conquerors. It needs guardians." As the message went out, Wilson looked at the star map showing humanity's true reach. Their ancestors had built something amazing. Not just weapons and defenses, but a hidden network of civilization spanning the galaxy. "What now, sir?" Dr. Wells asked. "Now," Wilson replied, "we do what our ancestors wanted. We protect. We watch. We help those who need it. But most importantly," he turned to face the command crew, "we make sure everyone understands one simple truth. Humanity never lost its power. We just chose when to reveal it." The age of hiding was over. Humanity had emerged, not as the primitive civilization others thought they were, but as the advanced guardians they had always been. The galaxy would never be the same again.